Have you ever found yourself thinking, I'm doing everything right, so why do I still feel off? You're sleeping enough, eating healthy, maybe even exercising regularly, but somehow you still feel drained, tired, foggy, unmotivated, disconnected. It's frustrating and it can be deeply confusing. If that sounds familiar, you are not alone and you're definitely not broken. What's likely happening is something we are not taught to look at. Your energy is out of balance. In today's world, it's become almost normal to feel low on energy. We live in a time when we are always connected but rarely recharged. We are expected to be productive and on all the time, but few of us feel truly alive or at ease. We push our bodies through workouts but neglect recovery. We grind at work, but our minds and emotions are barely hanging on. And most of us rarely stop to ask if we feel connected to what we are doing or why we are doing it. As a result, it shows up in every area of life. Fatigue that sleep doesn't fix, mood swings, lack of focus, anxiety, burnout, feeling stuck or unfulfilled. It can even take a toll on your health. Sluggish metabolism, chronic stress, aging faster than we should. And underneath it all, there's often this quiet voice asking, is this really how it's supposed to feel? The truth is, most people today are managing energy from only one or two areas, usually physical or mental, without realizing that human energy runs deeper than that. According to research in high performance and human well-being, particularly from organizations like the Human Performance Institute, we operate from four main sources of energy: physical, emotional, mental, and existential. And each of these dimensions affects the others. If one energy source is depleted, you can't just push through with the others forever. Eventually, something gives. But when you learn to manage and renew all four types of energy intentionally, something incredible happens. You start to feel whole again. More focused, more joyful, more grounded. You're not just getting through the day, you're engaged in it. You recover faster, you perform better, you feel alive. That's what this tutorial is about. We'll explore the four types of energy that drive your performance, your health, and your sense of purpose. We look at the science of depletion in each area, and most importantly, we'll share simple, science-based strategies to restore balance so you can live, work, and age with full engagement and vitality. Not by grinding harder, but by aligning with how your energy actually works. Because real performance isn't about pushing through, it's about learning how to renew. And the goal isn't just to survive life's demands, but to meet them with strength, joy, and meaning. Let's begin. In this tutorial, you will discover what's really behind our modern energy crisis and why so many of us feel constantly drained. You will learn simple, science-based ways to protect and renew your energy daily. Most importantly, we will explore the four key energy types: physical, emotional, mental, and existential, and how balancing all of them leads to lasting vitality, performance, and fulfillment. Let's begin with the energy crisis. We'll explore how our hectic, always-on lifestyle impacts our energy and the effects this has on our well-being, health, and performance. Modern life pushes us to move faster and do more than ever before. We are expected to perform at full speed all day long, leaving little room to breathe. Meals become rushed, wolfed down between meetings, and when energy dips, we reach for coffee to keep going. But despite all this stimulation, exhaustion takes hold and restless nights follow. Racing thoughts make sleep elusive, and some turn to sleep aids just to get through the night. This constant pace wears us down in ways we don't always see at first. Frustration builds, patience wears thin, and emotions run high. Instead of finding rest and support at home, family life often feels like another source of stress. The overload piles up, leaving us drained, disconnected, and struggling to recover the balance we desperately need. The non-stop pressure to perform without adequate rest slowly depletes our energy reserves. Burnout isn't just feeling tired, it's a state of emotional, mental, and physical exhaustion that affects millions worldwide. It leads to reduced motivation, difficulty concentrating, increased irritability, and a weakening of the immune system. Burnout doesn't just impact work performance, it seeps into every part of life, damaging relationships, health, and overall well-being. Recognizing burnout early is crucial to breaking the cycle and restoring balance. While burnout affects millions and can deeply impact quality of life, there's an even more severe consequence of chronic overwork known as Karoshi. This extreme outcome shows just how dangerous unchecked stress and relentless pressure can be. Karoshi is a Japanese term meaning death by overwork. It occurs when extreme work stress and exhaustion lead to fatal health conditions such as heart attacks, strokes, or severe mental breakdowns. Key factors include excessively long working hours, high job demands, lack of rest, and chronic stress. Shockingly, thousands of people worldwide die each year from Karoshi-related causes, highlighting the deadly consequences of unchecked work pressure and energy depletion. After seeing the extreme consequences of burnout and overwork, we are reminded that the cost isn't just physical, it's also deeply personal. Palliative care nurse Bronnie Ware spent years listening to people in their final days, and the most common regret she heard was this: I wish I'd had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. So many people realized too late that they were chasing goals that weren't truly theirs, driven by pressure, approval, and expectations. They ignored their inner voice, put their dreams aside, and lost touch with who they really were. This regret is a powerful wake-up call. The way we manage our energy, time, and choices shapes the life we will eventually look back on. That regret of not living true to oneself often stems from years of neglecting key parts of life. When we ignore our deeper needs and stretch ourselves too thin, we don't just risk burnout, we risk slipping into a life of quiet mediocrity. A life where we are going through the motions but not truly engaged. We stop feeling alive. Important areas like health, relationships, purpose, and inner peace are left unattended. Over time, this disconnection shows up as chronic fatigue, lifestyle-related diseases, emotional numbness, and in later years, a lack of vitality that makes aging feel like slow decline rather than growth. This isn't how life is meant to be, and it's not too late to change course. From here, we face a powerful truth. Our lifestyle is either a conscious decision or something that just happens to us. We can choose to live with intention, guided by principles that support energy, balance, and vitality. That means creating a space for what truly matters. Leisure and passions, meaningful work, deep relationships, and rest. It means living fully engaged with energy to show up in every area of life. Or we drift. We follow routines by default, chase demands without reflection, and slowly lose touch with what gives life meaning. The result? Low energy, stress, illness, and a sense that we are missing out on the very life we are meant to live. The choice is ours. If we choose a lifestyle of full engagement, we need more than quick fixes. We need principles that tackle the root causes. Science-backed, experience-tested strategies that help us live with lasting energy and clarity. Too often we treat symptoms. Pills for sleep, coffee for fatigue, distractions for emotional pain. But the real issues stay untouched. It's like mopping water from an overflowing sink without fixing the leak. What if we questioned old habits, looked deeper, and learned to manage life's challenges with real understanding? How many relationships, health issues, or poor decisions could have been avoided? True change begins when we stop patching over problems and start building on effective principles for energy, for well-being, for a life with no regrets. Even when we want to live with intention, the pressure to conform is everywhere. People will always have opinions on how we should live, but the decision must remain ours. Take the story of Peter and his 8-year-old son David. One day, they were on their way to the market, walking beside their Shetland pony. As they passed a group of young people, Peter overheard them whisper, "That father has a pony and still makes his little boy walk? How heartless." So, Peter lifted David onto the pony's back. A bit later, they passed a group of elderly men drinking coffee. One scoffed. "What kind of child rides while his old father walks beside him? No respect at all." So, Peter took David off the pony and got on himself. Not long after, a young woman walking past shook her head. "Unbelievable! That grown man is riding and his little boy has to walk? How selfish!" So, Peter lifted David back onto the pony and had him sit behind him. Moments later, another group commented loudly, "Poor pony! How can they both ride that small animal? That's cruel!" Now, completely confused and frustrated, Peter and David dismounted and together they lifted the pony and carried it down the road. As they approached the town, the crowd burst out laughing at the absurd sight. Realizing how ridiculous it all had become, Peter and David gently put the pony down and continued walking to the market just as they had originally planned. The lesson? You can't please everyone. No matter what you do, someone will disapprove. That's why it's essential to question outdated norms, trust your own judgment, and live by principles that truly support your well-being. But to do that, we need clarity on what actually works and what truly matters. That's what this journey is about. After seeing how important it is to live by our own principles, the question becomes, what kind of lifestyle truly supports health, vitality, and long-term well-being? There are places in the world where people don't just live longer, they thrive well into old age. These people stay active, connected, and joyful into their 90s and even 100s. But they don't just add years to life, but life to their years. These areas, known as the blue zones, have the highest rates of centenarians and remarkably low rates of chronic disease. Their lives show us that it is not luck, but lifestyle that shapes long-term vitality. And from them, we can learn a lot. The 5 blue zones are Okinawa, Japan, Sardinia, Italy, Nicoya, Costa Rica, Ikaria, Greece, Loma Linda, California. The people in the blue zone share common habits and mindsets that support their extraordinary vitality and longevity. Here are some of their key principles. Natural movement. Daily physical activity is built into their routines, not intense exercise, but walking, gardening, and purposeful movement. Plant-based diet. Mostly plant-focused meals with lots of vegetables, legumes, nuts, and whole grains, and minimal processed foods or meat. Strong social connections. Close-knit families, strong friendships, and active community involvement provide emotional support and reduce stress. Sense of purpose. Having a clear reason to get up in the morning, whether it's family, work, or community, fuels motivation and mental well-being. Stress reduction. Regular routines to unwind, such as naps, prayer, meditation, or socializing, help manage stress effectively. Moderate, mindful eating. They practice moderation, often eating until about 80% full and enjoying food slowly and socially. Spirituality or faith. Many have strong spiritual or religious practices that bring meaning and community. Environment that supports health. The surroundings promote healthy living by design, safe neighborhoods, access to fresh food, and natural spaces. These principles work together to create a lifestyle that sustains energy, health, and happiness throughout life. Next, we'll explore the core foundations of managing our energy effectively, guidelines that help us maintain vitality, balance, and full engagement in all areas of life. For decades, people believed it was impossible to run a mile in under 4 minutes. Many thought it was a natural limit, the fastest humans could go. Then, in 1954, Roger Bannister shattered that barrier, running the mile in 3 minutes 59.4 seconds. His achievement wasn't just physical, it was a breakthrough in mindset. Once Bannister broke the myth, others quickly followed. The impossible became possible. This story shows how growth happens when we challenge assumptions and push beyond self-imposed limits, not just physically, but mentally as well. To truly grow in energy, health and life, we need to question the status quo of both body and mind, opening the door to lasting vitality and full engagement. Building on the idea that growth requires challenging both body and mind, the next crucial step is understanding how to intentionally apply stress, the spark that triggers growth and builds energy capacity. Just like when you train your biceps, you create a controlled strain that pushes your current limits. This short-term stress is necessary, it stimulates your system to adapt and become stronger. Without this phase, growth doesn't happen. Your energy capacity remains stagnant. Recognizing and embracing this phase of challenge is the first step toward developing greater vitality and resilience. However, growth happens not during the stress itself, but in the recovery phase that comes afterward. In strength training, muscles are challenged during short bursts of exercise, but actual growth, called hypertrophy, occurs during rest. During recovery, muscle fibers repair and fuse, becoming thicker and stronger. This cycle of stress, followed by recovery, is essential. Without enough rest, overtraining can lead to inhibited growth, reduced performance, sleep issues, mood swings, and higher injury risk. Conversely, undertraining means insufficient stimulus, causing muscles to stay the same size or shrink. To develop optimally, whether muscles or energy capacity, we need to maintain a healthy pulse of stress and regeneration. Following the cycle of stress and recovery, even brief recuperation can make a huge difference in performance and energy. A study on tennis players compared top athletes with lower-ranked players during matches. The elite players used specific recovery routines in the short 16 to 20 second breaks between points. They controlled their breathing, gaze, and posture to actively lower their heart rate by up to 20 beats per minute. In contrast, lower-ranked players lacked such routines, maintaining elevated heart rates and showing flat recovery patterns. This correlated with poorer performance and more losses. This example highlights how intentional recovery, even in small moments, helps maintain peak energy, focus, and resilience during ongoing challenges. Moving beyond isolated moments of recovery, it's crucial to recognize that energy isn't just physical or mental, there are multiple interconnected energy systems at play. Often, we think only of physical or mental energy, while emotional and existential energy get overlooked. Imagine a surgeon performing a critical open-heart surgery. If their mind is distracted by a conflict at home, their focus and performance can suffer drastically. Our energies influence each other. When physical energy is low, we might become more easily frustrated, draining emotional energy. If emotions run high, mental focus declines. And without a sense of meaning or purpose, our existential energy, resilience falters when facing challenges. To manage energy effectively, we must understand and nurture all dimensions as one integrated system. Building on the holistic view, managing energy means addressing all 4 dimensions. Quantity. This relates to physical energy, the fuel that powers our body. Quality. This is emotional energy, shaping how we feel and experience life. Focus. The mental energy that directs our attention and clarity. Force. The existential energy, our deeper purpose and motivation that drives all actions. Neglecting any dimension not only drains our energy, but also leaves parts of our life unfulfilled, increasing the risk of future regrets. True full engagement and a life without regrets comes from balancing and nurturing all these energies together. Once we have identified which dimensions of life are truly important, the key is to intentionally anchor behaviors into our daily routines. Without consciously creating these habits, it's easy to get lost in the endless daily hustle, always busy but rarely focused on what really matters. This busyness can drain our energy and leave us feeling overwhelmed. By establishing consistent energy management routines, we ensure that the actions supporting our physical, emotional, mental, and existential well-being are actually carried out, helping us maintain balance and vitality long term. These routines don't just apply to the body, but are equally vital for the mind. Thanks to neuroplasticity, the brain can reshape itself by forming new neural connections based on repeated experiences and behaviors. This means that by consistently practicing certain habits, we physically rewire our brains to support these positive behaviors. Through repetition, desired behaviors become automatic habits, making it easier to sustain energy, focus, and emotional balance. Harnessing neuroplasticity allows us to consciously design our mental patterns for lasting well-being. Now that we've laid the foundation of energy management, growth through short-term stress, the pulse between stress and recovery, and the importance of anchoring in routines, we'll move into a deep dive on the 4 key energy dimensions. For each type, we'll explore the 3 most essential categories where energy is generated, consumed, or blocked, and how we can apply what we've learned to consciously build capacity and resilience in each one. This next part is about turning insight into practice across body, heart, mind, and meaning. We start with the physical energy dimension, the foundation of all other energies. Physical energy is about the raw quantity of energy available to us each day. It fuels everything, from our ability to move, focus, and regulate emotions to how we show up in our relationships and work. Without enough physical energy, even the best intentions fall flat. And yet, many people run on empty, sleep deprived, undernourished, overstimulated, and disconnected from their bodies. Now we will explore the 3 key categories that shape our physical energy and how to build real capacity by applying the principles of growth, recovery, and routine. Let's now take a closer look at how nutrition fuels not only our daily performance but also our long-term vitality. It's not just about calories, it's about information for our cells. A fascinating insight into this comes from the world of epigenetics, the science of how lifestyle factors like nutrition influence gene expression. A striking example is the honeybee. Although queen bees and worker bees have the exact same genetic code, they live drastically different lives. The queen is larger, lives for several years and lays thousands of eggs, while the worker bees live only a few weeks and never reproduce. The difference? Diet. Only the future queen is fed royal jelly, which triggers specific genes and determines her entire development. This shows us just how profoundly what we eat can shape who we become, not just superficially, but right down to our DNA. Beyond that, our nutrition choices are central to protecting our body from oxidative stress, which results from an overload of free radicals, unstable molecules that damage cells and accelerate aging. To defend ourselves, we need a diet rich in antioxidants, found especially in colorful fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, herbs, and spices. These compounds help neutralize free radicals and reduce cellular damage, giving our body more resilience, clarity, and stamina. However, modern diets often do the opposite. They fuel inflammation and degeneration instead of vitality. There are key dietary pitfalls we should avoid to preserve long-term energy and prevent chronic disease. A lack of antioxidants. A lack of dietary fiber, which is essential for digestion, metabolism, and satiety. Excess saturated fats, trans fats, and cholesterol, which contribute to heart disease and systemic inflammation. Too much salt, which can lead to hypertension and kidney strain. Overconsumption of pro-inflammatory foods such as meat, dairy, refined white flour, sugar, and ultra-processed foods. Environmental toxins, often found in industrial food production, pesticide residues, and certain additives. Instead, we can orient ourselves by using simple yet powerful guidelines like Dr. Michael Greger's food traffic light system. Green means go. These are whole, unprocessed plant foods like fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, nuts, and seeds. Yellow means caution. These are processed plant foods or minimally processed animal products. Red means stop. These are ultra-processed or harmful foods like sugary snacks, processed meats, soft drinks, and junk food. Not forbidden, but ideally consumed rarely, if at all. In the blue zones, the regions of the world where people live the longest and healthiest, these principles are naturally woven into daily life. People mostly eat plant-based meals, emphasize beans and whole foods, and stop eating when they are about 80% full, a practice known in Okinawa as hara hachibu. Meals are simple, seasonal, and shared, and food is seen as nourishment, not just fuel. What this teaches us is clear. If you want sustained physical energy, longevity, and a high quality of life, you must make conscious nutrition decisions, not occasionally, but consistently. By focusing on whole, anti-inflammatory food and avoiding dietary stressors, we build a solid foundation that powers all other dimensions of our energy. Building on the role of nutrition, another cornerstone of physical energy is regular cardiovascular activity. It's not just about burning calories. Movement deeply impacts our metabolic health, heart function, and even brain performance. One of the most telling indicators of long-term vitality is VO2 max, a measure of the maximum amount of oxygen your body can use during intense exercise. The higher your VO2 max, the more efficiently your body can produce energy under stress, an essential metric for health and longevity. Dr. Peter Attia refers to it as one of the best predictors of lifespan. For improvement, different training zones play a key role. Zone 2, low intensity, long duration. Enhances fat metabolism and mitochondrial efficiency, great for daily longevity work. Zone 5, high intensity, short bursts. Pushes your VO2 max capacity and conditions your cardiovascular system to handle stress and recover quickly. Interestingly, the blue zones populations who don't wear fitness trackers or visit gyms demonstrate how daily, natural movement shapes longevity. They walk to the store, climb hills, garden, and rarely sit for long. Their lifestyle reminds us it's less about doing one big workout and more about embedding movement throughout the day. In addition to cardio, muscle strength plays a critical role in energy, independence, and disease prevention. Strength training is not just for athletes, it's essential for anyone who wants to age well. Muscle is a reserve of resilience. It protects against injuries, regulates glucose levels, supports metabolism, and gives us physical confidence in everyday life. One powerful predictor of health outcomes is something surprisingly simple: grip strength. This one measure strongly correlates with overall strength, biological aging, and even mortality risk. Loss of muscle mass and strength, known as sarcopenia, is a major factor in frailty and reduced quality of life in old age. In the blue zones, while people may not lift weights, their daily lives are physically demanding. They carry groceries, chop wood, and work in the garden well into their 80s and 90s. They avoid long sitting times, walk instead of drive, and rarely rely on elevators or escalators. The principle is simple: use your body or lose it. If we want sustained physical energy, we must integrate strength and mobility into our routines, not as a short-term fitness goal, but as a lifelong strategy for vitality and independence. In addition to movement and nutrition, sleep is one of the most powerful tools for physical and mental regeneration. Without sufficient and restorative sleep, we cannot function properly, no matter how well we eat or exercise. Sleep plays a critical role in almost every bodily system. It strengthens our immune response, regulates hormones and body weight, stabilizes our mood, and supports heart health. Poor sleep is even associated with increased cancer risk. One of the most fascinating discoveries in recent years is the glymphatic system, a kind of cleaning crew in the brain that becomes active primarily during deep sleep. It flushes out waste products and harmful proteins like beta-amyloid, which are associated with neurodegenerative diseases such as Alzheimer's. If we neglect our sleep, this cleansing process is impaired, leading to long-term cognitive and health consequences. Ultimately, sleep is not a luxury, it's a biological necessity that deeply affects our daily energy, focus, and long-term vitality. If sleep is so important, how do we ensure it becomes a strong pillar in our energy system? The answer lies in conscious sleep hygiene. Unfortunately, many people struggle with falling or staying asleep, not because of a lack of time, but because of mental restlessness and poor habits. Key tips for improving sleep hygiene include keeping a consistent sleep schedule even on weekends, avoiding screens and blue lights in the hour before bed, ensuring your bedroom is dark, quiet, and cool, limiting caffeine and alcohol, especially in the afternoon and evening, creating a calming wind-down ritual before sleep. The optimal duration of sleep, typically 7 to 9 hours for adults, is just one part of the equation. The quality of sleep is equally crucial. A common root cause of insomnia is not physical, but mental. A mind that won't stop racing, circling thoughts that keep us awake. While some reach for sleep aids, the deeper solution lies in learning to manage stress and thoughts effectively. We will explore this in depth in the stress management section. For now, it's important to recognize, without healthy, restful sleep, true energy and regeneration cannot occur. While the quantity of our energy is shaped by physical habits like sleep, nutrition, and movement, its quality is determined by our emotional state. Emotions act like a filter through which we experience the world. Positive emotions such as gratitude, joy, or inspiration uplift and energize us. In contrast, chronic negative emotions like frustration, resentment, or anxiety drain our energy and limit our capacity to perform and connect with others. Building on our understanding of emotional energy, let's first explore systematic stress management using the stress traffic light model by Dr. Gerd Kaluza. This approach highlights 3 key entry points to manage stress effectively. Entry 1. Stressors. These are the external triggers like heavy workloads, time pressure, noise, conflicts, or constant changes. To identify your stressors, finish the sentence. I'm stressed when. The goal here is to reduce these stressors where possible, for example, with effective time management and conflict management. Entry 2. Stress amplifiers. These are the thoughts that make stress worse, such as I will never manage this or I have to be perfect. To spot your amplifiers, try I cause myself stress by. The goal here is to reframe these thoughts by changing your mindset. Entry 3. Stress reactions. These are the physical and emotional responses to stress like fatigue or irritability. Recognize them by completing. When I'm stressed, I am. Managing these means restoring balance through energy management across physical, emotional, mental, and existential areas. Building on the stress traffic light model, one of the most frequent yet challenging points to handle is entry 2, stress amplifiers. These are the thoughts that intensify our stress, fear, anxiety, and self-doubt. When left unchecked, such thoughts can spiral into depression, reduce our ability to cope, and drain our emotional energy, making it harder to respond effectively to life demands. To reframe these stress amplifiers, we need a clear process. First, we must become aware of these thoughts by directing our attention to them. Instead of fighting or resisting them, we practice acceptance, acknowledging their presence without judgment. Next, we apply diffusion techniques to detach from seeing these thoughts as absolute truths, allowing more mental flexibility. Then we anchor ourselves to our core values, using them as a stable foundation. Finally, we act according to those values, making choices that align with what truly matters, which strengthens our resilience and emotional well-being. I've created an extra tutorial that dives deeper into this topic. The link is in the comments. Transitioning from managing stress amplifiers, another powerful mindset to cultivate is optimism. Optimism isn't just positive thinking. It has proven health and business benefits. Studies show optimistic people have a 30 to 50% lower risk of heart disease and stronger immune systems. In business, optimistic employees can outperform pessimists by up to 20% in sales. These findings highlight how optimism supports both well-being and success. Martin Seligman identifies 3 key differences between optimists and pessimists that shape how they explain life events. Personalness. Optimists see setbacks as external or specific, while pessimists blame themselves. Permanence. Optimists view bad events as temporary, pessimists as permanent. Pervasiveness. Optimists limit problems to one area, pessimists see them as affecting everything. To cultivate optimism, we can apply a similar, adapted approach as in stress management. Increasing awareness of negative thoughts, accepting them without resistance, anchoring to our values, and then acting accordingly. Alongside mindset work, we can consciously anchor daily routines that boost positivity by releasing happiness hormones. For dopamine, activities like setting and achieving small goals or enjoying hobbies work well. Oxytocin is released through meaningful social connection, hugs, and acts of kindness. Endorphins come from physical exercise, laughter, and even spicy food. Serotonin levels rise with exposure to sunlight, practicing gratitude, and mindfulness meditation. Integrating these habits into daily life supports emotional well-being and builds resilience against stress. Transitioning from inner emotional energy and happiness routines, another key pillar for long-term emotional well-being is the quality of our relationships. Human connection is one of the strongest predictors of sustained health and happiness. In fact, social isolation has been shown to increase the risk of premature death by up to 50%, comparable to smoking or obesity. In the blue zones, where people live longer and healthier lives, social connection plays a central role. These communities naturally foster deep relationships through shared routines, multi-generational households, regular communal meals, and a strong sense of belonging. In Okinawa, Japan, for instance, people form lifelong social networks called moai, groups that provide emotional and practical support for life. Studies show that people with strong social ties not only live longer, but also enjoy better mental health, greater resilience, and a lower risk of chronic disease. Close relationships are vital, but they also bring challenges. Conflict is natural, yet the way we manage it can either strengthen or erode the relationship. To foster healthier bonds, it's essential to avoid what psychologist John Gottman calls the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse in communication. Criticism. Generalized attacks on character. For example, you always. Instead, state complaints constructively using I statements focused on specific behaviors. Contempt. Sarcasm, eye-rolling, or name-calling rooted in disrespect. The antidote is to consistently express appreciation and respect. Defensiveness. Shifting blame and refusing responsibility. A healthy approach is to acknowledge your part in the issue and stay open to dialogue. Stonewalling. Withdrawing or shutting down. Instead, take a brief time out to calm yourself before returning to the conversation mindfully. In addition, nonviolent communication, NVC, developed by Marshall Rosenberg, provides a framework for conflict resolution that nurtures empathy and mutual understanding. It includes 4 steps. Observation. Describe what happened without judgment. Feeling. Express your emotions about the situation. Need. Clarify the underlying need behind your feelings. Request. Make a clear, respectful request to meet the need. This approach fosters connection rather than division and is a powerful tool to navigate conflicts while deepening emotional bonds. After exploring the emotional dimension, we now move to the mental energy dimension, the focus of our energy. Mental energy is all about where our attention goes. It determines how clearly we think, how deeply we concentrate, and how effectively we make decisions. In a world full of constant noise, distractions, and multitasking, maintaining mental clarity and focus is more important and more difficult than ever. In our fast-paced world, one of the most common struggles is feeling overwhelmed by too many priorities. Our calendars fill up, tasks pile on, and we are constantly reacting instead of acting intentionally. This often leads to stress and constant urgency, scattered attention and shallow work, neglect of what truly matters, both professionally and personally, a sense of being busy without progress. Without conscious time and attention management, we risk spending our energy on what is loud, not what is important. This results in mental exhaustion and missed opportunities for real impact and fulfillment. To overcome this trap, we need to structure our time in alignment with our priorities and purpose. That's where the following time management principles come in. To regain focus and execute with clarity, we can use these 8 foundational principles for sustainable and effective time management. Clarity. Know what truly matters to you. Define your long-term goals and values to guide daily decisions. Priorities. Focus on the few tasks that generate the most impact. Pareto principle, 80-20 rule. Preparation. Plan your day and week ahead to reduce reactivity and set intentional direction. Focus. Block distractions and create deep work periods for tasks that require mental clarity. Complexity reduction. Simplify workflows, eliminate unnecessary tasks, and automate where possible. Competence. Build relevant skills and knowledge to work more efficiently and with greater confidence. Drive, motivation. Use meaning and intrinsic goals to stay engaged and resilient through challenges. Energy. Align your tasks with your energy rhythms. Do high-focus work when you're most alert. Together, these principles help us move from chaotic busyness to focused, high-impact execution. To manage our mental energy effectively, it's not just about structure and productivity, it's also about unlocking our full creative potential. For that, we need to understand how our 2 brain hemispheres work together. The left hemisphere is typically associated with logic, language, and analytical thinking, numbers, facts, linear reasoning, structured problem solving. The right hemisphere is associated with imagination, intuition, and visual thinking, emotions, metaphors, and spatial awareness, big picture ideas, and creative insights. In modern work environments, we often overuse the left hemisphere, focusing on planning, performance, and problem solving. But to find innovative ideas, deeper insight, or meaningful solutions, we must also learn to engage the right hemisphere more consciously. Creativity is not a random spark, it's a structured process that involves both hemispheres working in harmony. The creative process typically includes 4 phases: preparation, left hemisphere, gathering information, analyzing data, and defining the problem. Incubation, right hemisphere, letting go of the problem consciously while the unconscious mind connects ideas. Illumination, right hemisphere, the aha moment where insights and ideas suddenly emerge. Verification, left hemisphere, evaluating, refining, and implementing the creative idea practically. To nurture this process, we need to build routines that activate both hemispheres. Journaling, drawing, and free writing, right. Mind mapping or brainstorming session, both. Reflective walks without input, right. Structured analysis and prototyping, left. By designing our daily lives to include creative space, not just structured work, we can boost innovation, mental flexibility, and resilience, an essential form of energy in today's complex world. Just like creativity, learning is a powerful way to activate and maintain mental energy. Engaging in continuous learning sharpens our mind, enhances our adaptability, and even protects long-term brain health. Studies show that active learning is associated with improved memory, increased emotional well-being, and even lower risk of cognitive decline. But to truly benefit, we need to step outside of our comfort zone. We learn and grow most effectively when we intentionally enter the learning zone, a space of constructive discomfort. This zone sits between the comfort zone, where routines feel safe and familiar, and the panic zone, where stress becomes overwhelming. Development loops help us grow sustainably. These loops consist of a stretch phase, learning zone, where new challenges, tasks, or experience push us to expand. A recovery phase, comfort zone, where we consolidate new knowledge and recharge. Whether it's presenting to a large audience or learning a new skill, the goal is to move consciously between challenge and recovery. With each loop, we develop more resilience and confidence, and what once was difficult becomes the new normal. Real growth starts not just with new tasks, but with the right attitude. A growth mindset, a concept developed by psychologist Hartweg, means believing that skills and intelligence can be developed through effort, feedback, and learning. This stands in contrast to a fixed mindset where abilities are seen as static. People with a growth mindset see setbacks as stepping stones, not failures. Use challenges to build new skills. Stay motivated despite obstacles. Continuously ask, what can I learn from this? By cultivating this mindset, we begin to reinterpret pressure as a trigger for growth, not a threat to performance. Combined with the development loop strategy, it becomes a foundation for lifelong personal and professional development. While mental energy drives our focus, existential energy fuels our inner drive. It's the force behind what we do and why we do it. This dimension is anchored in a sense of purpose, clear vision, and deeply held values. It gives us orientation, resilience, and the strength to endure challenges that purely physical or mental energy can't sustain. Let's begin with one of the most powerful sources of existential energy, purpose. Numerous studies show that people with a strong sense of purpose enjoy greater longevity, better physical and mental resilience, and more clarity and motivation in their daily lives. For example, research indicates that having a sense of meaning can lower the risk of heart disease, reduce the likelihood of depression, and even increase life expectancy. On a biological level, purpose is associated with higher levels of DHEA, a hormone linked to stress resilience and healthy aging. Purpose acts as an internal compass. It helps us prioritize what truly matters and gives our energy a clear direction. Even in difficult circumstances, people with purpose tend to stay committed, recover more quickly from setbacks, and maintain their engagement over time. In short, purpose is not just a philosophical idea. It's a practical and powerful resource for sustainable energy and well-being. One beautiful and practical way to approach purpose is through the Japanese concept of ikigai, especially observed in the blue zones like Okinawa, where people live long, healthy, and meaningful lives. Ikigai refers to a reason for being, or that which makes life worth living. It emerges at the intersection of four key areas: what you love, what you're good at, what the world needs, what you can be paid for or contribute through. When all four dimensions align, a strong, fulfilling sense of purpose emerges that energizes your daily actions. In the blue zones, people often stay active, socially involved, and connected to meaningful tasks well into old age, not out of pressure, but because they feel called to contribute. By reflecting on your own ikigai, you can define a path of purpose that doesn't require dramatic changes, just small, conscious shifts that align your actions with what truly matters to you. While purpose is often rooted in our past experiences, values, and core identity, vision points us forward. It's our inner picture of the future we want to create. Both serve as powerful motivational drivers. Purpose gives us meaning and vision provides direction. A compelling vision acts like a magnet, pulling us toward a desired future. It can encompass personal goals, professional aspirations, or the kind of life we wish to lead. Vision helps us prioritize long-term value over short-term distraction. It boosts our focus, builds resilience in adversity, and increases intrinsic motivation because our actions feel aligned with a meaningful outcome. Crafting a clear vision means answering questions like: where do I want to be in 5 to 10 years? What kind of person do I want to become? What impact do I want to make in the world? With vision, we don't just react to life, we lead it with intention. A helpful metaphor for understanding vision is to think of it as a puzzle. The big picture on the puzzle box represents your future target state, your vision. It might be becoming a compassionate leader, living a healthy, balanced life, or building a meaningful project or legacy. But the puzzle isn't complete in one step. Every single daily action is like a puzzle piece, small, maybe even ordinary on its own, but crucial to completing the larger picture. When we act in alignment with our vision, even minor habits or choices feel purposeful because they contribute to something greater. This metaphor reminds us that vision gives orientation and coherence to daily behavior. Progress is not about massive leaps, but consistent alignment. The more pieces we put into place, the more momentum and clarity we build. Your vision becomes real when it's broken down into concrete actions, anchored in the present, yet always guided by the image of the future you want to create. Coming from the concept of vision, we now turn to the foundation that anchors our daily actions: value-based principles. While goals and circumstances may shift, these principles serve as fixed points of stability and guidance, especially amid uncertainty, pressure, or tough decisions. Acting as an inner compass in a world of constant change and complexity, they are deeply rooted in our core values and steer our behaviors even when we feel overwhelmed or emotional. Whether facing ethical dilemmas, interpersonal conflicts, or competing demands, these principles ensure our actions remain aligned with our true selves, fostering both resilience and integrity in decision making. To translate these value-based principles into everyday behavior, I personally use a set of guiding principles inspired by high-performing teams, not just professionally, but also in my private life. These principles serve as a clear compass for interaction, collaboration, and growth. Mutual trust. Build and maintain trust through transparency, reliability, and integrity. Clarity. Set clear goals and expectations. Plan backwards from the desired outcome. Initiative. Don't wait. Take proactive ownership and drive positive change. Synergetic cooperation. Embrace diversity, combine strengths and perspectives. Effective time management. Prioritize consciously to focus on what truly matters. Empathic connection. Listen deeply, understand others beyond words. Continuous development. Stay curious, learn from feedback and reflect often. Endurance. Anchor routines and manage energy to sustain progress and growth. These principles aren't abstract ideals. They are daily choices that align our actions with our purpose, vision, and values. When practiced consistently, they strengthen character, deepen relationships, and enhance performance across all areas of life. To be fully engaged and thrive, we need to nurture all 4 energy dimensions: physical, emotional, mental, and existential. The key isn't just focusing on one area, but maintaining balance and harmony across them all. Neglecting any dimension or overemphasizing one at the expense of others can drain our overall energy and resilience. Regular reflection helps us identify where we can improve and maintain that essential balance for sustained growth and well-being. Life is full of storms, unexpected challenges, setbacks, and stresses that test our resilience. By nurturing and balancing all 4 energy dimensions, physical, emotional, mental, and existential, we build a strong foundation like a sturdy ship prepared to weather rough seas. With this balanced energy and solid grounding, we can face turbulent times with greater strength, adaptability, and clarity. Rather than being overwhelmed or thrown off course, we can navigate life storms with confidence, recover more quickly, and continue moving steadily toward our goals. This tutorial aims to provide a broad overview of energy management and inspire you to integrate its principles into your daily life. However, there's much more to explore and deepen in each topic to fully incorporate and apply these concepts effectively. To support this journey, several resources are available. A great starting point is the handbook The Mindset Challenger, which delves into energy management in detail, offering inspiring stories, scientific research, practical advice, and routines for real-life application. Alongside the handbook, a companion workbook guides you through anchoring these principles into your everyday habits. Both books are available on Amazon, and you can find the links on the Mindset Challenger website. To further deepen your understanding and practice of energy management, there's an online training available on Udemy titled Master Your Energy, Physical, Emotional, Mental, Existential. This course offers additional videos, handouts, and exercises designed to help you integrate these concepts more effectively into your daily life. You can find the links to this training on the Mindset Challenger website. For the most intense and effective experience in managing energy for both you and your team, consider the 2-day workshop. It combines inspiration with practical, hands-on exercises to fully immerse you in the topics. Additionally, personalized one-on-one coaching offers tailored guidance to support your individual journey toward full engagement and lasting energy mastery. For more information, visit the Mindset Challenger website or feel free to contact me directly. This isn't just theory. I have applied these principles in my daily and professional life and continually strive to do so. They've been a complete game changer for my energy, vitality, and performance. But don't just take my word for it. Hear directly from participants of workshops and coaching sessions by checking out the testimonials and feedback on the Mindset Challenger website. If you consciously take the steering wheel of our lives and guide it according to our values, we open the door to deep satisfaction and gratitude. Of course, we are all human and imperfect, obstacles and setbacks will come. But what truly matters is how we respond. By embracing the 4 energy management principles, growth, Puls, a holistic energy system, and routines, instead of falling into stagnation, flatlines, singular energy systems, and unsustainability, we can transform how we experience everyday life. When we integrate energy management into our routines, increasing physical energy, nourishing emotional energy, focusing mental energy, and strengthening existential energy, we create a balanced and powerful foundation for engagement and well-being. Using these 4 energy dimensions as a checklist helps us identify where we need to grow. Building small, consistent routines to support these areas ensures steady progress without overwhelm. Over time, challenges that once felt impossible become manageable. We feel more energized in body, mind, and spirit. Fully equipped with these tools, we can look back on life knowing we lived authentically, learn from every struggle, and embraced each opportunity with resilience and joy. Sometimes it takes a life-changing event to inspire reflection and change, but I hope this tutorial encourages you to thoughtfully consider which areas of your life deserve more attention now. It requires courage to question old habits and follow your own true path. Let's challenge our mindset, write our life story guided by our core values, and create our greatest masterpiece, a life lived fully and intentionally. Let me end with a last inspiration from Stephen Covey. Sharpen the saw means preserving and enhancing the greatest asset you have, you.